Estimated time of arrival 9:30 a.m. Been up before the sun and now I'm tired before I even begin. Now you're flying, I got so much work in front of me. Really flying, it stretches out far as I can see. I've been laughing airports and crosswords or attempting to sleep. And when the bar is open, won't be long now, you'll find me there warm in the seats. Now you're flying, I never find a place where I can stay. Really flying, I'd rather be 1,000 miles away.
Fala galera, bem-vindos a mais episódios de Novidades. Hoje a gente está com convidados muito especiais, os australianos do Hoodo, que passaram pelo Brasil há mais ou menos um mês, contaram bastante coisa sobre o disco Chariots of the Gods, que é o lançamento deles mais recentes, falaram sobre Hall da Fama do Awards, que é o Grammy australiano, contaram outras curiosidades da carreira, vocês vão gostar muito. Fiquem atentos que em breve vai ter entrevista com o Faulkner, guitarrista do Judas Priest, falando do Elegant Weapons e novidades do Judas Fresquinhas. Tem Extreme, tem Biquíni Cavadão, tem Renan Inquérito contando sobre o projeto Abre a Cabeça, entre outras coisas muito legais. Então confere aí e compartilhe.
More of a pleasure for us, I'm telling you. We've been trying to come back here for decades.
Yeah, I know that. So, how are the expectations for this tour?
Well, our expectations are incredible. We are expecting a lot of very excited people because we've been hearing from them on Instagram and also elsewhere. So we know there's a lot of anticipation, and from us too. We've been anticipating for a long time coming back.
Yeah, I guess the shows have been selling well, so we anticipate we're going to have very pleasant evenings.
And what can you spoil from the set list?
Well, yeah, that's a big question. I was just looking on the phone a minute ago, and we posted we rehearsed this morning in the hotel room, just trying a couple of songs we don't do so often, because we know there's certain songs in Brazil that are more popular than anywhere else in the world. A song that wasn't released, there's a song called Night Must Fall, was not a single anywhere else, but it was in Brazil, it got a lot of airplay. So we know the song very well, but it just don't play it so often, so we just did an extra rehearsal. And we have other songs like that we've been just brushing up on. We don't know. We're going to have to wait and see because we can't fit every song in, unfortunately, and nearly every fan has their own special list. so I was just looking at some songs that we kind of thought there's no way anyone in Brazil wants to hear this song, and like someone's asking for this particular song. So it's going to be a question of, we just hopefully do most of the songs that people like, and there'll be maybe one or two that, one fan really wanted to hear that we can't play, but, they'll hear other songs that hopefully will be in their wheelhouse. Is that the saying?
That is the saying.
What is it you want from me? There isn't much I will not do. If it's only company, I might need that too. Want you? Come anytime. I'm the man of leisure.
And there is going to be any song of the new record?
Yeah, a few songs off the new record, for sure. Chariots of the Gods, we love playing it live. We've been playing all the songs live pretty much in Australia and in New Zealand. We just were there. And the songs go over great in the shows. So it's the momentum of the show doesn't, you worry sometimes with a song that's not so familiar to people. It kind of brings the energy down. But these songs seem to have a, instant kind of appeal. So we can put them in anywhere. But we won't be playing like the whole album. It'll be, a handful of songs off the new album and then picking through the past.
I cried myself to sleep more than once or twice. What a way to
production of this album?
We just kind of went into the studio and bashed it out ourselves largely. It's pretty organic. Just the songs just naturally occurred.
I'm asking that because what was...
Well, yeah. There was some writing involved. But they evolved fairly organically.
Yeah, I mean, songwriting-wise, I always have little ideas I collect, and I put them on my phone, or in the old days on a cassette tape, and like guitar riffs or melodies. And when it comes to doing a new record, I just go through and listen to them, and if they still excite me, I'll turn it into a whole song. But pretty much all the songs were written, just before we recorded them. And in fact, this album, we didn't rehearse and then demo and then go and do the album. We kind of worked up a few songs and went to the studio and did just those, and then went back into rehearsal and learnt and wrote more songs, and working on new songs together, and did them bit by bit, so that the album it took shape slowly, rather than let's pick these 10 songs and make that the record and then go and record them all at once. We did it, assembled it slowly, so we didn't have a concept in a sense of like how the album should sound overall. It's just whichever songs turned up that we liked.
We had the great luxury of working through a pandemic, so we had some time on our hands.
Yeah, we planned on taking a year to make the record. We were going to have a year off, and that year was 2020. We were planning on not working so much. Of course, with the pandemic, we couldn't work much in 2021 either, so we just kept making the record and just taking our time.
And it's a great record. I mean, we have at least 5 great songs that come out like this for years. It's a great album. And did you like the reception of the fans, the critics?
Oh, amazing. We've probably got the best reviews of our career for this album. Even albums from the past that people say now are, classics or whatever, at the time, they weren't always the critics saying, oh, this is great. They say, oh, not bad, it's pretty good. And only over time the records became more, had more stature. But this album, straight away, people liked it and were singing, saying quite nice things about it.
As Dave was saying, it's much of the material on this album sits very neatly within the rest of our set. That's pretty gratifying for us when songs are immediately embraced by the audience, because often that can be a lull in the set with new songs. The story, no one wants to hear new songs, but they actually sit very, very nicely within the context of all our other material.
And they've talked about cassettes, and nowadays we're dealing with digital music.
Yes.
And streaming and everything else. And so how do you see this concept of streaming a song? I mean, people are interested a lot more in a song, especially a song, than a whole album. So how do you deal with that?
Well, it doesn't bother us particularly because, I love albums. I always will. And it's funny, you look on the streaming platforms and nearly every record you look at, the first songs have the most streams, and then as you go back down through the album, they kind of drop off. That's just how the people are. For me personally, I listen to a whole album. But at the same time, Hoodo Gurus kind of have a reputation of being a great singles band, from all our history really, and people really love our singles. So they've always been kind of doing that anyway with us. Picking the one song or 5, 2 or 3 songs off every record they love and play those over and over. So, whatever way, you like, we don't mind. It works for us.
And I can't complain. I always make my own playlists anyways.
And nowadays we have this vintage, this vintage fashion like vinyl and the re-releasing of cassettes. So how do you see that? I mean, we have the modern age like streaming, and we have the cassettes and vinyl, and then vinyl is getting a lot bigger than...
Yeah.
So how do you see?
Well, look, we've always loved vinyl. I mean, we all have big collections of vinyl. I love CDs. I still buy CDs. CDs are probably the least popular now in terms of like, it's not so cool, but I love a CD. And streaming, I mean, I look on YouTube and, obviously other platforms and look up really... The great thing about YouTube, you can find things that you couldn't possibly buy, because some collectors put things up there that that aren't on Spotify or on Apple Music or Deezer or whatever. What's the one in Brazil that's so popular?
Yeah,
Spotify, yeah. Yeah, so, you know, they have a lot, but there's still things missing, and you look on YouTube, you can find really way out things. So, you know, I like every way of finding music, I use it. I don't mind.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever medium is convenient for you, if you are exposed to music that you love or new music, that's all okay by me.
And your new album it was released in a vinyl.
Yeah, it was on vinyl, double vinyl album because we couldn't fit it all onto one. And we, you know, talking about streaming, we didn't have our music available officially for streaming until a few years ago. We waited because the deals were terrible. They were stealing from us. So we said, well, you know, people can steal and put them on, you know, download sites or whatever, but, you know, we're not going to compromise our own, you know, interests, you know, just by doing it for cheap. So when we signed a new deal with Universal, we released everything on streaming for the first time. But as part of the deal, Universal wanted to release all of the albums back on vinyl we had some albums that had never been on vinyl because they were in the CD times and there was no vinyl then. So we were really excited to have every record now is available on vinyl, including like Electric Soup, a greatest hits album that was a CD, and that's on a double vinyl album. And it's just, for us as collectors, you know, to have all our records like that is like, you know, fantastic.
And I tried to pretend not to see what I couldn't ignore. Oh, my girl don't love me at all. My girl don't love me at all. My girl don't love me at all anymore.
And was remastered, remixed it.
No remixing. Some of those tapes have gone missing. We had a lawsuit with a record company way back, and those first few albums of tapes just went missing. We have the master tapes for our first album, but other ones are missing. But no remixing. I don't like that anyway. I'd love to remix every record actually, but you're never satisfied. You know, and as a fan of music, I hate when an album that I really like, you know, it's remixed by the artist, like The Who. All their albums are remixed, and you can't buy the original versions now. It drives me crazy because they don't sound right to me. Raw Power, the Stooges album, you know, Iggy, everyone knows this album was a very strange recording and has this weird mix, but it's the mix we love, you know, and when they remix it to be better, it's not better for us, you know, because it doesn't sound like what we fell in love with.
I think the same.
Yeah.
I have the same vision.
Yeah, the Heartbreakers, you know, LAMF, one of the worst sounding records of all time, but we love
That's
it.
the only way you want to hear it, though.
Because that's the record, you know, to you.
Yeah, and you said that you don't remix or maybe not remaster, but re-recorded something?
No, we haven't re-recorded anything.
Well, Leilani.
Oh, we did. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we did. We did a. You know, everyone talks about we didn't make an album for 12 years. There was a whole lot of things happening. Mainly our drummer Mark, he wanted to retire, but he took a while to tell us. So there's a few years there where he had no intention of making a record, and we didn't know. And then after he told us he wanted to retire, then it was like, okay, what do we do? Will we break up? You know, we just waited till Mark finally retired to sort of make a decision about whether we would continue. And luckily we worked with Nick and we made the right choice, obviously. You know, the album proves that. But we did do one record, an EP called Gravy Train. And we did a concert where we had all the old members of the band, James Baker, the first drummer, Clyde Bramley, the first bass player, Kimball Rendell, Rod Riddell, from the very first lineup of the band. And we played a concert where everyone got on stage and did the different lineups they were in and played the songs from that time. And then at the end, we all got on together and played Leilani. So we recorded an EP with each lineup doing a song from old song that we hadn't recorded before. And then we did a version of Leilani which had everyone playing, all 8 musicians at that time. Now it'd have to be 9 with Nick. but it was 8 back
We
then.
need a new version of
Yeah, didn't you
Leilani
version of Leilani 2020.
with the congas.
We deliberately called it Leilani 2000, which was already out of date. The album, it came out, 2013 or something?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, 2015?
15.
Yeah. So, we even knew that, the year 2000 was so futuristic when we were kids, but of course now it's old-fashioned. And so we made it Leilani 2000 just to kind of, as a joke.
They were shaping for a little hut. He collected chips every day. Every night they'd share a cigarette. But the ancient angry god got in the way. The sailor line jumped out to the volcano.
And it was great, I think.
It was a good version, yeah, it was a good version. It's funny, we were talking about, there's a song called What's My Scene on our early albums, and we did it, we recorded it 15 years later for a rugby league theme song, because the original tapes had gone and we had to re-record it and put new lyrics for the Australian Rugby League to use it for an ad for the football. And that recording, it sounds great, it's pretty close to how it sounded back at the time. So, we still are the same. We play better, to be honest. After all this time, we're better at playing together.
And another thing I've been wondering lately. Oh, baby, tell me where have you been? Now the stage is set, where's my Juliet, baby? Is it maybe mine summer night's dream? What's my scene? What's my scene? What's my scene? Tell me what's my scene?
So this is gonna be a tricky question. So, how it is to still be relevant for entire generations?
Well, we were never relevant, so that's fine,
That's the truth.
Yeah, we
We
were all
exist within our own universe.
always have, when we formed, people weren't playing guitars on the radio. It was all synthesizers like Human League and the Thompson Twins and all that stuff. That's all good, but it wasn't what we were doing. And so people said, well, and when we got signed up, the music industry in Australia laughed. They thought, who's going to waste money on this band? They really felt that. It was not, I'm not joking. And we've always just done our own thing. We were kind of alternative when that was not cool. But we somehow managed to get on radio with certain songs and become like commercial, and that's not cool. Like, nothing we did was fitting in with everyone else. We always were in our own category, and we still are. So we're not relevant. We
don't care if we're relevant.
No, the only thing we're relevant to is people that like music. If you like good music, come to us. If you want bad music, well,
Yeah, plenty of other
there's plenty of it on the radio. Have a listen to that.
And then we fast forward to 2007. You're on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's right. The ARIA Hall of Fame. It was funny because ARIA, they are like Australia's Grammys, and we had never been nominated for their other awards. For every year you bring out an album, best group, best live act. Never with the Hoodo Gurus.
Illustrates your previous question
Yeah, we
about
never
relevance.
We weren't
just ignored.
Yeah, ignored
by the Australian music industry. But we got this sort of honorary award, just for
lifetime achievement.
Yeah.
The whole life, and I actually said at the time, and Brad will remember this, I said, no, let's not accept it, because they don't really get us, they don't understand us, and never did. So why do we want them to now say, oh, good Hoodo Gurus, we like you. So, but I said no, but then everyone in the band got together and said, look, our families, our friends, they want to kind of feel that, their sacrifices in a sense, or their experience being with us is part of that, and we should, acknowledge that. And it was a really emotional thing to be up there and get that award, as it turned out, and I was very grateful to have it afterwards. But beforehand, I thought, forget it, who cares?
Yeah, I know that feeling too.
Another what?
I know that feeling.
Oh yeah, well, because we, as I said, we don't belong to them, and they don't understand us. So when they didn't like us, did we agree with them? No. So when they like you, do you agree with them? Well, I guess they were right for once.
in the beginning of this interview, we talk about how big you are here in Brazil. So I don't know if you're aware that there's a lot of Hoodo Gurus songs that play every day on the Brazilian radio.
Wow.
Every day.
You write the set list then.
That is our problem. We have put a lot of those in, we hope, but,
People ask about Hoodo Gurus every day, so a lot of Brazilian radio, and they play our songs, and they keep telling, oh, Hoodo Gurus is great, Hoodo Gurus is great, and now we are here in Brazil, playing 4 concerts. So, can you invite your fans to your concerts?
Of course. I mean, I think many of you are coming, but those of you wondering, will they still be good? Don't worry. We play just as well as ever. And we're hopefully going to play all the songs you want. We're trying our hardest to do that. That's all we can do. But you will see.
We are quietly confident.
We're very confident. We've been getting amazing reviews for our touring lately. I said the album got great reviews, but the shows as well, amazing reviews. Like one headline said we put bands half our age to shame. Because we don't have a volume button. We are just 100%, 120% energy, and that's the only thing we know how to do. So there'll be no feeling it slowly and relaxing to save ourselves for later in the tour. No, it's every night is everything.
What is it you want from me? There isn't much I will not do. If it's only company, you know I might need that too, won't you? Come anytime, I'm a man of leisure. Come anytime, I await your pleasure. Nothing's new beneath the sun. We butchered every sacred cow. But tell me all the things you might have done. Tell me what are you doing now, right now? Come anytime, I won't give you pressure.
Last question is another tricky question, but when you started, do you think you're going to be where you are today? And if you have to start today, do you think where you would be with Hoodo Gurus?
Being a musician is kind of a compulsion. You would never recommend anyone pursue this as a lifestyle, but you do it because you are compelled. You have no other choice. So in that regard, for me, there's never been a plan B. It's something that music is something one of the very few things in this world that makes sense to me at all. And we're very fortunate that this band as a vehicle still affords us an opportunity to have this incredible experience. Here we are in Brazil. That wouldn't have happened except for this band. So that's still very exciting to us. And as long as there's some gas in the tank, I trust that we will continue to ride that vehicle.
Yeah, like for me too. I didn't even, when I became a musician was by mistake in a way. I was planning on doing something else, but I was playing music the whole time. And I had to wake up to myself and just, what are you doing with your life? And it was like, well, you're a musician actually, because that's all you do. And so that's when I became a musician. And it happens the Hoodo Gurus formed a couple of years later. And if the Hoodo Gurus had broken up, I'm sure I'd still play music. As far as the Hoodo Gurus going, when we formed, we had no plan to make, when we made our first album, it was amazing to us that we were even given the opportunity to make one record. Once you made that record, it was like, a few months, a year later, you think, well, let's make another one. And, we were popular enough that could happen. It's always been the case that every record has been, this is the best record we can make, and this is the final statement of the Hoodo Gurus, and if this is the last thing ever, we've done it. But you always think of new ideas and, things that excite you. And, so it's been slowly but surely, somehow we ended up so far from where we ever imagined because we weren't looking to go anywhere different. In fact, what we did was just stay where we were. It's just that where we were kept moving and changing. But, we are still the same band. We're still the same things we love. It hasn't changed. Just the manner of expression and You know, obviously, you know, don't get too close. You know, you can tell that we've been around for a long time, but musically, the ideas are fresh and the things that are for now and that excite us now. I mean, we love the old songs, but you know, new songs are fun too.
Thanks so much.
Thank
I
you.
really
Thank
enjoy
you.
it.
At the time of arrival, 9:30 a.m. Been up before the sun and now I'm tired before I even begin. Now you're flying, I got so much work in front of me. Really flying, it stretches out far as I can see. I've been laughing ankles, crosswords or attempting to sleep. And when the bar is open, won't be long now, you'll find me there warm in the seats. Now you're flying, I never find a place where I can stay. Really flying, I'd rather be 1,000 miles away.
Sometimes, you know, that is cracked up to be. It can be as lonely at the top as at the bottom of the corporate tree.